Don't miss the game. Stream it on my teams.
Yes, Carson is the quarterback going forward. And in Nick's case, listen, we would love to have everybody back.
We would love to keep Nick Foles. I mean, you talk about a guy who we drafted here and we've grown incredibly close with. I mean, I don't know a team that wouldn't want to have Nick Foles on their roster.
Like I said, I would love to lead a team. The starter thing, like leading a team, impacting a locker room. That's something that that's why we play the game.
That is why they play the game, and Nick Foles will likely be playing it elsewhere as we welcome you back inside our studios. This is Philly Sports Talk, brought to you by Comcast Business. Mike Skilsky rejoining Amy Fadool, that's me, and then you are Mark Farzetta as well. And it was, I think, something that needed to be said, even if it was somewhat redundant. It is Carson Wentz's team. There's not a real big surprise, but the fact they needed to say it, I think, is just because of people like us. I mean, and the fans out there.
Don't blame me for the quarterback confusion, Amy.
Listen, you read another article. You never know. But this is, as much as they like to say these flowery words, oh, yeah, we'd love to keep Nick Foles. They can't keep Nick Foles. They're not going to keep Nick Foles. It's not going to happen. So where will he be? And how will it happen? Do they let him just go?
I think they have to. I mean, no team around the NFL would be willing, I don't think, to give up anything for Nick Foles in a trade, knowing that, a month out, he can just, at the price of $2 million, void his contract, take that option with the, the deal set up with the deal they signed with him, and become a free agent. So just wait for him to become a free agent. And where does he end up? I mean, I don't know. I'm not reading Nick Foles' mind. I mean, I think the fact that John DeFilippo, the former quarterback coach with the Eagles, now looks like he's going to be the offensive coordinator in Jacksonville. That's intriguing. But, Nick played pretty well this season when he got the chance without John DeFilippo. Right. So, and I don't know the nature of the relationship that those two guys have. I presume it's good, but who knows?
Yeah, the Jags actually confirming that that hire. It'll be officially announced later in this week, but saying, yes, he is coming. John DeFilippo will be the offensive coordinator. Let's talk about our pick and click poll question brought to you by Turnersville Auto Mall, and I'm going to get Mark's take on this. It's we're simply asking you, do they let him walk? Because the scenario is if you do trade him and he's under that same contract, there you go, there's $2 million. Now I can go to whoever I choose. But it's also one of these kind of goodwill things. Hey, you've done so much for us, we'll try to help you out.
That's nice, but it is a business, and I think a lot of people have to keep in mind the idea that neither party here owes the other anything. The Eagles were nice after the Super Bowl MVP wanted some more money. They restructured a contract to Brandon Brooks and gave Nick Foles some more money. Both parties admitted, actually all three parties, including Brandon Brooks, admitted to that before the season even started. But it does not help Nick Foles in the least bit to help out the Eagles, and it doesn't really help out the Eagles much in the other way around. So when you're trying to break it down going forward as to what's going to happen in this, Nick Foles would be losing a lot in letting the Eagles have any say whatsoever about where his future destination would be. It hurts his bargaining. It hurts the idea of him making the most money wherever he can go. Because a team, if they trade for him, also have to give up picks aside from just money. 18 to maybe 23 million they've been paying for a starting quarterback to come in there. And also the idea of giving up picks. It also hurts Nick Foles in the long run, being that the team that he would be going to would be giving up assets. So then, in turn, that team wouldn't be as good as Nick Foles would want it to be to win games, because that's what he talked about in the locker room on Monday. He talked about going somewhere to win and lead a team, and that hurts his odds if he gives the Eagles any leverage in this scenario.
Yeah, I mean, there is the idea that, and it's been bantered around there, maybe you franchise tag him so you can kind of have a little bit of leverage that way, but then that really hamstrings you when it comes to the salary cap, and you're already trying to get some more stuff, because you're going to have a lot of guys that are walking, and they're not all going to give you hometown discounts, and then you try to replenish some of the talent. So is there a chance they try to do something, and maybe if you do trade for him, you could get some kind of guarantee that he wouldn't walk?
By guaranteeing trading Nick Foles, you mean?
Like if I'm signing you, or I traded for you, I'd be like, all right, we're going to trade for you, but you have to tell me that you're not.
Yeah, I don't see that at all.
Yeah.
I mean, Occam's razor is in play here. The simplest answer is probably the correct one. He has that option. All it's going to do is cost him $2 million. Again, no team is going to look at that and say, oh, well, let's give up something for a guy who can choose to become a free agent anyway. I think I would be surprised if anything else happened other than him opting out of the contract and him signing with, whether it's the Jaguars, the Jets, the Redskins, the Dolphins, we all know the teams that have been named as possibilities.
Yeah, a lot of them are actually in the division when you're thinking about teams that need quarterbacks. Redskins need a quarterback. The Giants supposedly need a quarterback, though they're super stoked to keep Eli, and we're stoked for them. So here's some landing spots. Alex Smith, I don't know that he'll ever play football again. He obviously had a very serious injury and then had some complications stemming from that. Jaguars is up there because of the John DeFilippo hire and also because it's Blake Bortles. The Broncos, that's an interesting one to me. Dolphins, I could see that happening as well, but the Broncos was an interesting one. I wouldn't hesitate to go to the Broncos.
Oh, absolutely. I wouldn't rule that out at all, especially if you have a two-time Super Bowl champion as a quarterback running the team, and then they're also coming off a not too far away championship already. So yeah, and you're looking at a defense that has been pretty decent over the years. So that would be a great opportunity for a guy like Nick Foles. Good line, you're going to get protection there, and that's the other thing. Even if you're going to, say, the Giants, which I know a lot of people, and we just showed it right there, speculation you could go to the New York Giants, and you talk about the offensive line of the Giants. It's something that breaks down rather quickly, but then again, Nick Foles is one of the best in the NFL as far as getting rid of the football in under 2.5 seconds. So that's pretty impressive. So when it comes to the offensive line, he can go to a place that maybe is not that stable at the O-line position, and knowing that he can have the confidence that he gets rid of that ball quick and won't get hit maybe as much as he would elsewhere. So that's something to fall back on. But the other thing of this is I know a lot of people also want to look at the past with Nick Foles and look at a guy that maybe 3-4 years ago was considering retirement. Well, a lot has changed in those 3-4 years with Nick Foles. Apparently the story goes he was fishing out in Montana or something, and then all of a sudden he thought, you know what, maybe I don't want to do this. Got a text message from Andy Reid. Next thing you know, he's playing in Kansas City, where in very limited time, granted, he did play well, rediscovering his passion for the game, then came to Philadelphia and won a Super Bowl and became the toast of the town. He said, again, I'll go back to this, he wants to lead a team, he wants to compete, he wants to win. That guy that was fishing in that river, I don't think he exists anymore. He wants to come back into the NFL and prove that he could be a guy from start to finish, week 1 to week 16, week 17, be a guy to lead a team.
Well, 2 points to that. Number one, he comes from, this is going to sound bad, but he comes from money anyway. His family is very well off. So he might be coming at this from a slightly different perspective in that regard. He's not playing to feed his family. He's playing because this is where he wants to be. And he's talked about that time and time again, how much he loved the family atmosphere around the Eagles. He loved his teammates, love them up, all that kind of stuff. Which leads me to my second point. Of the list of teams we just saw there, I would be most surprised. In fact, I would be shocked and stunned if he ended up with the Washington Redskins for the very reasons that we just discussed. That atmosphere in Washington, that family atmosphere, does not exist with Daniel Snyder as running the show there and Bruce Allen up top. So, Alex Smith went there because he got traded there. He didn't have a choice. So I can't imagine, knowing what Nick Foles must know about that organization from competing against it for as long as he has, that he would voluntarily choose to go there.
Yeah, the Redskins are pretty much a dumpster fire right now, and I would be very surprised if he chose to go there. He could choose, however, to go to the Giants. Yes, their O-line is not that good, but maybe they could build it back up. But they do have some very good weapons. Saquon Barkley, maybe Offensive Rookie of the Year, certainly, and then you have Odell Beckham Jr. That would be the only thing to sour some of the toast of the town, because they'd be like, really? Really, you went to the Giants? But it's a really good fit.
And Pat Shermer as well.
And Pat Shermer,
Pat Shermer's
exactly.
been there. Yeah, the Giants have not been the well-oiled, traditionalist NFL machine lately that they have the reputation for being. They've really taken a nosedive, organizationally since winning that Super Bowl in 2011. So, again, I think Nick is a really unique guy in this regard. I don't think it's going to be a matter of, whoever pays me the most money, and that's it. We just spent a whole segment talking about who the Phillies were going to outbid for Manny Machado or Bryce Harper. I'm not sure it's necessarily going to come down to that. Clearly, whatever team signs him is going to pay him more than the Eagles would or should, but who knows? We're trying to dive inside this guy's head, and he's a different cat in a good way, I think. Yeah,
it'll be interesting as we wrap up our poll results right there, saying 61% say no. No, you shouldn't just let him walk. So it's been 60-40 pretty much in that regard. Is it going to be on this little tour? Does he take himself on a tour and go meet with people and shop himself around? Because I think he does like the family atmosphere that Doug Peterson has created and that certain vibe in the locker room. I don't think he's drawn by the bright lights of New York City or anything like that. That's where I think the Dolphins could be a fit because they have a little bit more of that. But the Broncos, to me, on that list seems the most reasonable. Those are all AFC teams, which I think a lot of people will be fine with as well. But is there one that you would think, wow, even if it's not on their list, like this is going to give him that family atmosphere.
I
He'll
think
go with the other side of the state as well.
that could very well happen, but I think in Miami they have a lot of turnover right there, so they're going to be starting a new coaching staff and all that. I think he would be most comfortable with a guy like John DeFilippo, and he apparently rubbed a couple of people the wrong way in Minnesota, unfortunately. But there's a relationship there, as Mike pointed out earlier. It could be bad, it could be good. Judging from what they were able to do in their Super Bowl winning season here in Philadelphia, I would bet that it's a pretty good relationship. So when it comes to that family atmosphere, that's something that they could try to have a renaissance with down in Jacksonville. But as far as Nick Foles goes, when it comes to the money, that is one thing that I do agree with you, Mike. When it comes to the
You don't agree with anything else, just that one thing.
But of all the things that we're talking about with Nick Foles, it really comes down to that money aspect. I don't think that's the one thing where I'll still agree. That version of Nick Foles still very much exists. The money is not going to be that much of an issue. Getting the opportunity to be a starting quarterback for 5 to 10 more years in this league, I think that will matter above, and also the opportunity to win. Not somewhere, they're giving me $25 million, they're giving me $28 million. I think if he does look at a team, he could sign somewhere else for 18 to 20.
Yeah, I think Nick has a really good sense of who he is as a person and a player. And I wonder if part of that is recognizing the situation he had in Philadelphia the last 2 years, which is to say he was surrounded by veteran guys, talented guys, a locker room that cohered very quickly during the 2017 season. I wonder if he's going to look for something like that, a situation similar to that in the next team that he would go to. And is that Washington? Probably not. Is it Denver? I don't know. I don't know the ins and outs of that locker room. Same thing with the Giants. We see what Odell Beckham and the questions about Eli Manning have kind of created there. There's been some scuttlebutt and some distraction there. He probably knows these teams and situations better than we do. So, we'll see if he's able to find something like that. But I think he knows himself well enough to know that he'll be looking for something like that.
Maybe another article where you get inside his head to see where he's going. Maybe his inner monologue.
I got so many negative emails about that article. I can't possibly do it again.
It's so worth it.
All right, real quick.
Being Carson Wentz, being Nick Foles.
Before we move on to Carson Wentz, where do you think that Nick Foles ends up? One word.
Jacksonville. I'll guess Jacksonville.
Look, agree again.
Oh, look at you guys.
Good defense, former quarterback coach, relatively low pressure. I'd say Jacksonville.
Big 5 money.
For those wondering, if you're wondering for something to get Nick Foles, his birthday's coming up. It's the 20th, and he will turn 30 years old, and maybe he'll have a new team for his 30th birthday. We'll have to wait and see. All right, the Sixers, meanwhile, absolutely crushed the T-Wolves last night as Jimmy Butler went head-to-head with his former team. Are they starting to turn the corner to a legit contender? Kurt Helin from Pro Basketball Talk is going to join all of us in just a moment.